Hi, this is Andrew for Geek News Central, and if you haven't guessed already from the title of the video, today we're going to be looking at the brand new smartphone from OnePlus, the OnePlus 9. Launched today alongside its sibling, the 9 Pro, and a brand new OnePlus watch. This is the latest iteration of OnePlus's now somewhat long-running series of smartphones. As you'd expect for the new version, you get faster and better this, that and the other. We've got faster processor, we've got faster charging, and perhaps most significantly of all, we've got a better camera. So we're going to take a look at each of those in turn and see what's new. Okay, to kick things off, let's just take a look at the design of the phone. OnePlus has often talked about its burdenless design, and certainly this is a beautifully designed phone. It's very tactile. There's no sharp edges. It really is a joy to hold. In terms of if you like, the screen, the 9 is the version that doesn't have the kind of really curved edges to the screen. So if you prefer a flatter screen, this is the one to get. If you do like your curved screens, then that tradition continues with the 9 Pro. Moving on round, we've got the USB-C here. We've got the power button on this side, and we've got the traditional OnePlus alert slider, which allows you to silence the phone if you don't want to be disturbed. On this side here, we've got the volume up and down buttons, and as has been the case for quite some time with OnePlus phones, there's no audio jack. So if you want to listen to your tunes, then you're going to need a pair of Bluetooth headphones, or else you can take advantage of the USB-C port on the bottom. Looking around the back, well, the camera array has been moved from its central position over to the top right, and we'll be talking a bit more about the camera in a minute. But also you might notice that the finish on the back kind of fades from quite a shiny finish at the bottom through to a more matte finish at the top. Now there's three different kind of colorways for the OnePlus 9. There is, let me just check this, there is Winter Mist, there is Arctic Sky, and there's Astral Black. Okay. Now the Winter Mist does come on the more expensive version with the more, if you like, more RAM and more memory. If you like, the Astral Black and the Arctic Sky come on the cheaper 8 gig and 128 gig version. So we'll talk a bit more about the RAM and that sort of stuff in a minute. So that's really the design of the phone. In terms of the screen, this is the same display that's used in the OnePlus 8T, which we saw in the autumn, and won a A+ rating from the folks over at DisplayMate. So it's a 6.55-inch AMOLED display. It's, as you'd expect, it's Gorilla Glass, so it'll put up with a few scratches and hopefully not too many drops. In terms of resolution, it's 2400 by 1080, giving a PPI of just over 400. It supports HDR10 Plus and has something like over 8000 levels of brightness. So we've got a good solid screen which you can certainly view easily outside in a bright light, but it can also be reduced when you want to if you like, read in bed and you don't want it too bright. With Oxygen S, there's a whole pile of different controls you can use for optimizing the viewing. As I said, you've also got your 120 Hz fluid display, which can be reduced to 60 Hz if needed to extend the battery life. You've got various tools for, if you like, changing the color, so you remove the blue light prior to going to bed. As I said, there's a whole bunch of them that, if you've looked at any of the OnePlus phones in the past, we'll see continue through into the 9 and also the 9 Pro. This year, most of the improvements probably aren't around the front of the smartphone, but are really round the back of the OnePlus 9. OnePlus has partnered with Hasselblad, who's one of the bigger noises in the camera world, to bring a whole raft of improvements to OnePlus's smartphone cameras. In particular, they've brought Hasselblad's natural color calibration system or solution to the smartphone, which really means that as much as possible, what you see in a photograph is actually what it looked like in the real world. So it brings natural colours, and whilst we all enjoy some of those images where the colours really pop, at times they can be a little bit unnatural. So the focus here is to get the most natural picture possible, and if you want to apply filters to get some of those bright effects, go ahead, you can do that afterwards. but you're not going to be restricted by the quality of the photograph that's originally been taken. So that's a really good improvement, because I think we can all admit that photography perhaps wasn't one of OnePlus's stronger suits. In terms of the cameras on the OnePlus 9, we've got a, if I remember off this correctly, we've got a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor here, or camera system. We've got the 48 megapixel main camera, and then we've also got a 2 megapixel black and white camera. Around the front we've got our little pinhole camera, and it's a 60 megapixel shooter. All the main sensors are by Sony, so you can be assured of very good quality, and really a lot of what Hasselblad has brought to this has really been to get the most out of the sensor. Also, we've also got, now that we're with Hasselblad, we have a special phone shutter noise. I'm going to hold it here so you can hear it. So it's less of a kind of bing or anything, it's more of a little click. Do it again. Yeah. So hopefully you heard that okay. In terms of other features, the video will take 8K at 30 frames per second, and we've got a number of there is now a Hasselblad Pro mode for when you're taking photos, and there's a new tilt shift, so that gives you the little, sometimes you get that effect with miniature people as if it's in a little world. If you haven't seen it, it's worth trying out. It's quite good fun. So I think that's most of the changes to the cameras, and I'm really expecting great things. I had a lot of fun taking photos myself, and let me just see if I can show you a couple of those. I don't know how much you can see of these, but I got some really lovely pictures of daffodils the other day, and you really can zoom in quite a long way to actually get effect. So there's if you zoom in on that, you can kind of almost see the insects on the plant. Some people may not like that. So that's the new camera system from Hasselblad on the OnePlus 9. Under the hood, both the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro use the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G CPU. It gives a considerable boost over the previous generation of OnePlus phones. I had a wee look in Geekbench, and on Geekbench the 9 was scoring about 1,100, whereas last year's 8 was scoring about 900. So there's a good boost, I think, there from 900 to 1,100. In terms of RAM and storage, there's two different variants. You can get an 8 gig version that also comes with 128 gigs of storage, or you can get a 12 gig version that comes with 256 gigs of storage. There's no option for a SD card or anything like that on the OnePlus phones, though you can have two SIMs. They just kind of slot in at the bottom. The memory uses, let's get this right, it's LPDDR5 for the main RAM, and then the storage uses the UFS 3.1. In terms of connectivity, obviously I mentioned the 5G, that comes with the Snapdragon series. You've also got Wi-Fi 6, which you do need to have a special router. Well, you have to have a Wi-Fi 6 enabled router if you want to take advantage of it, and it also brings quite good benefits if you're in an area where there's lots of people using Wi-Fi. So think of a stadium or a concert or something like that, or a university campus, things like that. That's really where you're going to see a lot of benefit from Wi-Fi 6. In terms of power, the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro both come with 4,500 mAh batteries. That's a small improvement over last year's 4,300 mAh batteries, but let's be honest, every little milliampere counts. Now, I've been using the phone quite a bit over the last week or two, and the battery life is good. You definitely get through a good day, and if you were really enthusiastic, you could risk going on into a second day. It does have intelligent charging, so it tries to predict what your if you like, your charging patterns or your use pattern is going to be, because we know over time that constantly keeping the battery fully charged can be detrimental to the life of the battery. In terms of charging, the 9 now supports wireless charging. Now it is a relatively lowly 15 watts Qi standard, but it is wireless charging. Having said that, it also comes with the Warp 65T charging standard, which will basically take this from flat to 100% in 29 minutes. Yes, 29 minutes. That's pretty impressive. You can, with that kind of charging standard, you can almost wait till the phone's nearly out of charge, knowing that you'll be able to plug it in, and before you know it, you've got a significant boost to the battery. So that's the charging. If you're a gamer, there's plenty to interest you here with the OnePlus 9. You've got the powerful Snapdragon 888 CPU, which gives your games plenty of oomph. You've also got the lovely screen, and you've also got the extended battery life. OnePlus also have its what was until relatively recently called its Fanatic gaming mode, so you can kind of dedicate all the resources of the phone into gaming. And I've been doing a little bit of Fortnite on the phone. You might think the screen's a bit small. Well, yes, it is a bit small in comparison to a giant widescreen TV, but in terms of something like the Nintendo Switch, which people are playing Fortnite on in handheld mode, maybe they're not the world's greatest gamers, but they are doing it, the screen on the OnePlus 9 really isn't massively smaller than the display on the Nintendo Switch. So there's a lot here for gamers if you are into that. I've been playing Fortnite, as I said, and it's a lot of fun. Before we wrap up this very quick review of the OnePlus 9, there's one thing which I always like, and it's very childish, but they've got these live wallpapers, and hopefully if I show you them here, if I just turn this off very briefly, let me see if I can just get this angled right, and turn it on, you can kind of see the wallpaper in the background coming to life. Now there's a range of these wallpapers on the phone. It's all part of the additions that OnePlus have made to Oxygen S11. It's a relatively light touch version of Android, so there's not heavy skinning or loads of additional specialist apps. It's just it's a happy medium between, as I say, a light touch and full-on customization. There's a number of really good features, of which these live wallpapers is one of them. So that really brings us to the end of this quick review of the OnePlus 9. We've had a look at the overall design. We looked at the display. We've talked about the fast Snapdragon CPU. We've talked about the new arrangements with Hasselblad to try and maximize the cameras on the OnePlus smartphones. Talked a little bit about the battery life and also how suited the phone is to gaming. So overall, I think it's a great package. It's a worthy successor to OnePlus's series of smartphones, and I'm sure anybody who buys one won't be disappointed. But if you are going to be buying it, you want to know about the price. So I'm just going to consult a bit of paper here to make sure I don't get this wrong. As I did mention earlier, there are two different really variants in terms of RAM and storage. So if you're wanting to pick up one of these and you wanted the 8 gig, 128 gig version, you'd be looking at spending £629. And that particular version comes in the Astral Black and the Arctic Sky version. If you want the Winter Mist, which is this one here, it's the one that has the 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, and that's going to set you back £729. So I'm not going to pretend those are cheap smartphones, they're not, but you do get a lot of bang for your buck. These are very much, OnePlus used to talk about smartphone killers. I don't know if they're into the smartphone killing business anymore. These really are at the top of their game, lots of features and priced to match. As I said before, if you buy one, I don't think you'll be disappointed. You're going to know what you're getting, and you do get a lovely phone. So this is Andrew for Geek News Central and the OnePlus 9. Thanks very much.